Hello friends, my name is Dr. Smita and I am teaching at Lucknow and also I am a coordinator of Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge. I welcome you all on 9th online lecture organized by KIDK. Actually, today is a very special day. Whole world is celebrating this day as a World Indigenous People Day. So, on behalf of KIDK, I wish all of you happy World Indigenous Peoples Day. Yes. Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge is founded by Professor Karunyakara sir. His idea behind the institution is to provide academic spaces for the scholars who are engaging with the studies and marginalized studies. Professor Karunyakara sir was HOD at Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar Central University of Lucknow. After that, he joined Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Vidyalaya as professor and director of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Sidhu Kanu Murmu Center for Dalit and Tribal Studies. He was also headed Vice Chancellor post of Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Vidyalaya. He wrote three important books specially on Dalit studies and also writes several papers and was a part of many academic bodies. Today he is chairing the session and the lecture is going to deliver by Professor Shashi Kumar. Now, to introduce our chair, I request my colleague Shreyat to introduce Professor Karunyakara sir.
Good
Shreyat.
morning. Thank you, madam. Good morning, Javim to all. Yeah, it is our great privilege to introduce the estimated chair of today's session, Professor Dr. Lella Karunakara, a renowned Dalit historian and ardent Ambedkarite thinker. Professor Karunakara brings a wealth of knowledge and insight to our discourse. He holds an MPhil and PhD from the prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, where he honed his expertise in historical and social studies. Professor Karunyakara briefly served as the acting Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Vidyalaya in August 23. Professor Karunyakara is a prolific scholar focusing on Dalit discourse, tribal studies, Ambedkarite thought, and modern Buddhism. He founded the Ambedkar Study Circle ASC at Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Vidyalaya on February 21, 2022 to promote discussions on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's writing and speeches. He also established a group called Ambedkarites for Dalit Unity on December 6, 2022. He authored the book History of Dalit Identity, which addresses the origins and meaning of the term Dalit. His YouTube channel, Dalit Knowledge, founded by him, aims to build a Dalit intellectual community. As the visionary founder of the Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge, KIDK, he has been instrumental in advancing Dalit knowledge studies and fostering intellectual dialogue. Please join me welcoming Professor Dr. Lella Karunyakara to guide us through this enriching session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shreya. Now, I request my colleague Dr. Darshana to welcome and introduce today's honorable guest, Professor Shashi Kumar sir. Dr. Darshana.
Professor Shashi Kumar, are you there? Professor Shashi Kumar. Professor Shashi Kumar is there?
Yes.
Yeah. Darshana, carry on.
Yes, sir. Today is ninth online lecture organized by Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge. Topic is the right of indigenous people in India, issue and challenges. Lecture by Professor Shakti Kumar sir. So, Professor Shakti Kumar is human rights professor in Department of Human Rights, Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, a Central University, Lucknow. He is an eminent scholar of human rights with vast academic and field experience. He specializes in Dalit and Adivasi human rights. He did BA Honors in Political Science from University of Delhi and post-graduation and PhD from University of Jammu. He is having 25 years of teaching and research in the field of human rights. He achieved fellowship from International Institute of Human Rights, Strasbourg, France, from participating in its 14th study session in 2009 and the Raman Post Doctoral Fellowship for Indian Scholar at United States 2040-50 by University Grand Commission for working as a visiting scholar at University of Kansas, United States of America from January September 2015. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Darshana. Now, Professor Shashi Kumar sir going to speak on the topic. So, I request Professor Shashi Kumar sir to take a charge.
Thank you for the organizer. And first of all, thankful to the Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge. I am thankful to the Professor Karunyakara for inviting me to deliver a lecture on the occasion of the World Indigenous Day, today 9th August. And I am also thankful to his organization, the Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge, and for all the members of this organization, which are people are here, for having patience and for listening this lecture on the theme right of indigenous people in India, issues and challenges. So people, the indigenous people all over the world are around 315 million people are there in the world, and about in the 70 countries these are basically, and these are known as the native, original and aboriginal first people. You might have heard the Red Indians are living in the US. These are the first native people. They are the Indians. They are called Indians also. Also in Canada, also in Latin America, Africa, Australia, in some Asian countries, and these indigenous peoples are there. And in India also we have a tribal people also known as the indigenous people, and there are around 8.6 million percent population of the India. Around 700 tribals are living in India. So why these people are very important? Because indigenous people are having their distinct culture, distinct, you can say the historical background, because they are the aboriginal. They are living for centuries in the forest, in the hinterland areas, which is not, you can say, the urban area. They are not modern areas living, but they are having very good, rich traditional knowledges, indigenous knowledge, which is very rich in the heritage, cultural heritage, and they are useful for their survival and also for the human civilization. So the indigenous peoples, the theme of the indigenous peoples, this world indigenous peoples 2025 theme is the indigenous peoples' right to self-determination, a pathway for food security and the sovereignty. This is the theme of this year's Indigenous Peoples Day. Long back in 1994, the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 49/214 on 23rd December 1994 the first meeting of the UN Working Group of Indigenous People, they recognize that they also have the human rights. So there is a one body, UN Permanent Forum of Indigenous Issues, is a UN coordinating body which discusses the issues, problems of the indigenous people at the world level. And every year they hold a meeting. Today also they are holding meeting there in the United Nations for discussing the issues. For of the human rights of the indigenous peoples, the first time in the history their rights have been recognized and their problems were addressed in the International Labour Organization (ILO), which was formed in the by the League of Nations. And ILO Convention 1969 recognizes the rights of indigenous people, their land ownership, cultural preservation, participation in the decision making. Because that time the indigenous peoples were not being recognized. Many of the countries, they have not got the citizenships. Even in the, you can say Africa or in the other countries, they are not getting the full-fledged rights. So that's why that time it was felt that the right to self-determination, the right to self-determination means they should have autonomy to decide what is their, where they can live, what citizenship they can enjoy. So that's why the right to self-determination was recognized by the United Nations in 1969. Then see basically in America, the indigenous people of American, first Native Americans, they mobilized the tribal peoples organizations and they you can say they raised the movement, first movement in the America. In America, let me check. So in America, early 1992, at the Earth Summit, they mobilized the people and they formed the forum. As I said, in 1989, ILO Convention, and that time they made a lobbying there in the United Nations in many conventions, and there was a World Council for Indigenous People was formed in 1997 at UN level. In 1993, the World Conference on Human Rights held in Vienna. There also the contribution of indigenous peoples was also recognized in the development of the society. Then in 2001, the UN established the Permanent Forum for Indigenous People and appointed the Special Rapporteur on the rights of the indigenous people. The expert mechanism on the rights of indigenous people was also set up in 2007. Later on, in 2007, United Nations Declaration for the Rights of Indigenous People, UNDRIP, was adopted by the General Assembly. And for the first time, a comprehensive declaration of rights of the indigenous people were there. And this is the very important document for the rights of the indigenous peoples. In this document, you will find that the rights of the Indian peoples were recognized, like they have the exclusive right on the lands, they could maintain, preserve their cultural rights. Any land cannot be encroached. The rights of the Indian people's lands cannot be encroached, cannot be taken by the any of the by the state or by the company. Okay, so their lands are very important because they are dependent upon the land for their survival, for their living. All these rights are available in the this document UNDRIP, and many countries have signed this document, this declaration. India is also has signed this declaration, but India has not signed the ILO Convention 1960 89 169 was not, because in India there is a debate whether the tribals are considered as the indigenous people or not. Indian government are saying India was under the colonial rule for many years, so there is no indigenous peoples in India. But the tribals are saying that they are the indigenous peoples. वो लोग जो हैं वो इंडियन पीपल्स हैं, वो ट्राइबल पीपल हैं, जनजाति और आदिवासी पीपल हैं जो कि बहुत सेंचुरी से वहाँ पर रह रहे हैं. Other people, they have come from outside, other we can say from the different parts of the world, Aryans or Mongolians, these people, but they are the original inhabitant people of the country. This is the claim by the tribal people in India. But government view is that tribals are not the indigenous people. This is the there. So they have not signed the ILO Convention of 1969 yet. But they recognizes they have signed the UNDRP, and they says, and they are having commitment. They have commitment to preserve the rights of the tribal people or indigenous people. Their land should not be confiscated, should not be taken by the industries, by the state, without the consent of them. So let me come to some of the movements at the world level and how their rights have been protected. There is a significant case of in the South Africa, Yake Aksa Indigenous community versus Paraguay in Latin America, and there is a Suriacu versus Ecuador case. This is the case of the indigenous movement and struggle for their indigenous community. In the first case, Yaqui Aksa was the indigenous community they are the hunters and gatherers in the Paraguay, and they were forcefully displaced from their land in 1979 because of the government development projects. And the indigenous peoples were evicted from their land, and they were without the food, water, sanitation facilities, and their health were also affected by them. Then this community, Yaqui community, approached to the Inter-American Court of the Human Rights for protection of their rights. And the court found that state had violated the Article 4 of the American Convention on Human Rights. And in the judgment, it said that state cannot encroach the land of the indigenous community, and court directed the state of Paraguay to provide the immediate relief to the Yaqui community and provide the clean water, healthcare, food and sanitation facilities to this community, and the land will be evicted. Similarly, in another case, Saruca Indigenous community of the Ecuador, which is also where the state has given the permission to one company, Argentine oil company, to conduct the exploration activity on their territory without their consent. See, in the tribal area, if you are territory, if you are uh, establishing some, you can say some factory or whatever, any mining activity is going, you should have first take the permission, the consent of the tribal community who are living there. So this company has not taken any permission from the tribal people, Indian peoples, and they have been evicted from the land. So this community, Indian community, they also went to the court, in Inter-American Court of Human Rights, and they said that their right to free prior informed consent means free prior informed consent, FPIC. Free prior means पहले होना चाहिए, and inform means you should inform the, and consent means company has to inform the tribal people because they are going to construct their activities there, or they want to set up the factory there. They should take first prior information, prior consent from the tribal committee. Then they should go. This is there in the Article 20 of the UNDRP. So this community went to the court, and the court decided that the Selkirk people, their rights are violated, and this court pronounced the judgment that the government of the Ecuador had violated the rights of the Indigenous community, and they have not taken the permission from the tribal or Indigenous people. So this activity of the company should be stopped. So these are the important international cases where the rights of the Indigenous peoples were protected. Then one thing more important, that they are possessing the traditional knowledge. Indigenous peoples are having the traditional knowledge, and these knowledge are very much useful for the healthcare, for the medicinal value. They have the medicinal values. And these traditional knowledge accumulated and possessed by the Indigenous peoples for centuries. This knowledge is transmitted from one generation to the another generation, and for centuries they are preserving this knowledge. And they are preserving, they are possessing the stories, songs, folklores, dances, myths, cultural values. These are they are the very rich values, local languages, agricultural practices, equipments, materials, all these traditional knowledge, values they are having, and they are sharing with their community. But one thing that the outsiders, those who are coming there in the tribal belt, in the indigenous people's territory, they are encroaching the land, they are misappropriating their knowledge, and particularly the pharmaceutical companies जो कि दवा बनाते हैं, मेडिसिन बनाते हैं, वो लोग जो हैं इनके नॉलेज को एप्रोप्रिएट कर रहे हैं, मिसएप्रोप्रिएट कर रहे हैं, एंड दे आर patenting on their products. तो जो इंडियंस कम्युनिटी की उनका एक थ्रेट है, उनके नॉलेज के ऊपर भी एक थ्रेट है, एक डेंजर है कि उनके नॉलेज को ये जो कंपनियां हैं, बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां, एमएनसी कंपनीज, दे कैन इंक्रोच, दे कैन टेक अवे नॉलेज एंड दे कैन ब्रांड देयर ओन कंपनी नेम. लाइक आपने देखा होगा नीम is medicinal value, and it is been used for centuries by the Indian people, by the tribal community, by the other, and which is used by many people. Even we are also using the same thing. But America company, they are going to have patent That time, an Indian government has fought for the case. Neem paper and the turmeric, haldi. Haldi was also having the medicinal values. So these are indigenous products. On these products, American company they wanted to have a patent. So Indian government had to fight in the case, court case, and they have won it. And they said that this is our traditional product. Similarly, many products are there in the tribal area in India, which is being used. They are using by centuries. Traditional knowledge. If you see how this Indian people, the tribal people, they are coping with the climate problems. If they are having if they are fed by the natural disasters like flood, like droughts or and wildfire, they escape from there. They know the method. They know the way out to how to survive from these natural disasters. So world leaders also recognized that they are having the traditional knowledge to save save themselves from the climate crisis. Climate change की crisis हो रही है world over. So having the knowledge of these traditional Indian peoples, they have contributed much in protection of the environment. If you see, we are in the town, in the village, in the cities, we are cutting the trees. Trees are being cutted, and we are facing the problem of temperature rising, water pollution, or you can say there is a problem of noise pollution in the cities. All this pollution of environment, ecology is being faced by the people who are living in the urban areas, in the cities. But if you go in the villages, in the tribal areas, there is no problem of environment pollution or environment. Trees are being cut there. वहाँ के जो tribals हैं, they are planting the trees there. They are because they are living in the forest. They are worshipping the trees. So tribal people, indigenous people, they are worshipping the trees. But in the cities, we people, for the sake of construction of the houses, town, roads, it's all development work. All these development works are going in, and because of that, we are cutting down the trees, and we are facing the tree problem. We all know. So, uh, Indian people's traditional knowledge was also recognized, and the importance of that was there. And for the protection of their traditional knowledge, there is one body called WIPO, International Body Organization, World Intellectual Property Organization. World Intellectual Property Organization, which was established in 2000 to protect their traditional knowledge, genetic resources, folklore, and this organization explored the legal mechanism to develop the legal binding instrument on genetic resources, traditional knowledge, and traditional culture expressions. See, UNESCO adopted the one declaration, Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity of Indigenous People for ensuring the preservation of cultural diversity of Indigenous peoples. So UNESCO, they also trying to preserve the indigenous knowledge of the various indigenous people living in the Africa, America, Europe, because 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 of this traditional knowledge, we can survive them. because if you are imposing on them the Western culture, Western knowledge, then the traditional knowledge, the Indian knowledge can be erased. They lose their cultural values. Coming to India, I am coming to now India, how Indian government or Indian situation is there of the Indian peoples. In India, the Indian people, or can you say the tribal people, they are of 8%, as I told you earlier. But in Indian Constitution, they have a special provision, and their rights have been protected for since Constitution, because Dr. Ambedkar, when he went to America, he has seen the indigenous people there, the Native American people in the America, and there the American government in the Indian Constitution, the rights of the tribal people are protected. There is a three level of government: federal government, state government, and the tribal government. And there is a federal relationship between the all the three levels: federal, state, and the tribal government. And there is a mention in that the tribal governments have full autonomy on the decision that how of the land available in the tribal area, tribal territory, on the judicial things, their judicial power, and no company can go enter in the tribal area in America without the consent of the tribal government. So in the America, there is a very strong system of tribal government autonomy is there. And there they don't want to assimilate them in their culture. After seeing that, Ambedkar thought in India also we should give the separate, I can say, constitutional provision for them. So in India, in the constitution, the scheduled tribe was recognized and their rights were given at the two level: Schedule 5 and Schedule 6. Schedule 5 says that is about the scheduled tribes living in the scheduled areas. जहाँ पर जो tribals हैं जो are living in the scheduled areas like Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, or central, you can say central India, are there. So these are called as the scheduled areas where scheduled tribes are living in a very large number, and there they have the tribal advisory council, which look after the problems, issues of the tribal, and any central law, any law from the UN, from the center, any law which has to be first examined, analyzed by the tribal advisory council for the implementation. Then the laws are implemented there. Then in the Schedule 6, there is this Schedule 6 is for the northeast states like Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. There we have the autonomous district councils, because to preserve the cultural rights, autonomy of this tribal people. There are 7 sister tribal states, we can say. These tribal areas, they have the autonomous district council. They have their own legislative power, judicial power, administrative power. So in these tribal areas, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, they are controlling their own culture, preserving their core culture, and their judicial power. They have judicial power. They solve their own problems. So similarly, This fifth schedule and sixth schedule are very important from the administrative point of view of the tribal people. Then we have the 2 Act, which was enacted to preserve the rights of the indigenous peoples. First is PESA, Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas in 1996. Indian government to fulfill the constitutional commitment to protect the rights of the scheduled tribe and for the purpose of fulfilling the objective of the 73rd Amendment for strengthening the local governance of the tribal areas. The PESA was introduced, enacted, and PESA was made to recognize the traditional system of the decision-making process. There is a Gram Sabha in the village, in the tribal areas, and Gram Sabha is very important because it is constituted by the, nominated by the people of the tribal belt, tribal village, and they have the power functions like right to mandatory consultation in land acquisition, resettlement and rehabilitation of the person who are displaced, protection of the traditional belief, culture of the tribal community, ownership of the minor forest products, resolution of the local disputes, and prevention of the alienation. These are the power given to the Gram Sabha under the PESA Act. So any land acquisition, settlement, these will be done only after obtaining the permission, the consent of the Gram Sabha, or can say the from the tribal people. Then only they are given the lands. They can work in the land. Then there is a one Forest Act. The scheduled tribe, other traditional forest dwellers, recognition of forest rights, 2006. This is a very important act because this act was enacted by the government to ensure the forest dwellers various rights like right to self-determination, legal ownership of their over their ancient property, land, participation in the decision making, and the free prior informed consent (FPIC). The act granted the power to the Gram Sabha to who should have the ownership over the land, and in the Gram Sabha can provide justification in claiming the land. Any generation, any people, any person who are living there for past 3 generations, like 75 years, then the forest in the forest area they can have the patta or we can say the land right over the there. So this was the and they can have they can eligible to have 4 acres of land, and they are living in the for past 3 years. They can have the land over the there. So these are the 2 important acts which is enacted by the government of India to protect the rights of the indigenous peoples and their, or can say, tribes. I want to tell the Jharkhand about some Jharkhand. Recently, Jharkhand in the Indian state is the tribal dominated state. Recently, Jharkhand was carved out, was made a new state from the Bihar because Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, recently the tribal leader Subha Soren expired, died. He led the movement for tribal of the Jharkhand, and Jharkhand state was formed. In Jharkhand, large number of tribes are living. About 32 tribals are living in the Jharkhand, and Among them, the 9 are very particularly vulnerable tribal groups. These are Asur, Birhor, Baraja, Hill, Kharia, Korwa, Pahadia, Baga, Saber. These are the vulnerable tribes which they are not settled tribes. They are living, they are like Banjara people, they are living here and there, and they are at the instinct of uh, going to perish. You can. Some major tribes are there like Santhal, Munda, Oraon, Kharwar, Kharia, Bhumi. They are recognized as agriculturists and they are the settled tribes. Some studies have been conducted in the Jharkhand by the scholars, by the social scientists and the scientists also, how their traditional knowledge being preserved, used for the medicinal purposes, and many studies has conducted and they have said that these Santhali, Kulach and Munda tribes, they have their medicine which is used for the many diseases, treatment of the many diseases. And these medicines are being used by the uh, pharmaceutical companies also in that area. So one thing I want to say now, this is all about the Indian peoples and their rights, how their rights have been still in that at present their rights have been you can say encroached, violated by the either by the state or by the private actors. They are their human rights are violated at the two level. At the you can say at the society level, at the level of the villages, they see the moneylenders, the outsiders, people. They are coming there because the tribal people, the Indian people, are very innocent. They are not knowing the modern tactics, or we can say the modern things, and they are not able to preserve. And in the name of modernization, these outsider people, they are alluring them, they giving some you can say greed, कुछ लालच देकर उनको जो है उनसे कुछ जो है प्रोडक्ट्स ले लेते हैं and they have been exploited. Economically, they have been exploited. And at the development level, because companies, government, they are also wanted to set up their, you can say, industries or development work is there, like dam, they wanted to dam, or roads, they want to construct there. But these tribals are being displaced from the forest, from the villages, and they have to forcibly, they have to go to the cities. And then in the cities, they are living in the slum areas because they don't have any livelihood to survive. And their condition, their situation has become more deplorable. So their condition, their situation, the economic conditions, the cultural, these rights we have to preserve. This should not be displaced at the cost of the development by the state. See, there one case was there. I want to mention here. Ursa Mining Corporation. There was one Ursa Mining Corporation filed the petition in the court that Ministry of Environment, Forest and the Box is not giving their right to mining in the Niyamgiri Hills, where the Dongriya, Kondi and Kuchi tribes are living. The court has given decision that these tribals, they are having their cultural attachment with the hills area because of their religious significance and cultural significance. So they cannot be given the rights to mining there. Similarly, in the case of another Samthala versus state of Andhra Pradesh, the Supreme Court decided that government land, tribal land, and forest area in the scheduled area cannot be leased out to the private industrial without the consent of the local tribal communities. The judgment strengthened the rights of the tribal people by giving them the more control over their land and right to participation in the decision-making process. So, what I'm saying that if the government want to take the land from there, so first of all they should take the permission, consent of the tribal people, whether that project is being useful for them, because many of the projects are there in the forest area and where the tribals are living. If you set up the project there, then they have to be displaced, and displacement should be resettlement should be given in the areas which should be having the good for them. They should have a proper water facilities, sanitation facilities, और लाइवलीहुड फैसिलिटीज दिस शुड बी देयर. सो ऐसा नहीं कि जो है आप उनको जो है ऐसी जगह पर भेज दें जहां पर कुछ भी नहीं मिले एंड दे बिकम मोर पॉपुलर. सो government should take care of the rights of the indigenous peoples and the cultural rights. These tribals are having the very rich value. They are not the, you can say, they not don't label them they are the backwards or they are not modern. They are having the parochial culture. In America, this Native Americans, in the Canada, they are having their good, you can say, rich culture. They have their fashion shows. They are having their movies, culture festivals every year. They are organizing so that people can understand, know the cultural heritage of the Indigenous peoples. So now the Indigenous peoples are coming very much in. They are coming up. They are mobilizing themselves, and government of many countries are recognizing them. See, in the neighborhood, I made a study in the South Asian tribals, Indigenous peoples, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh. Still, the Indigenous peoples who are living in in that Balochistan in Pakistan, they have been not given the citizenship rights. Their rights have been not been protected. They still there been not given the right to vote there. So, what I want to say, because today is an important day for the Indigenous peoples all over the world, they are mobilizing themselves for recognizing their rights, giving them space at the world level, at the world forum. So they just want what they want. They just want to preserve their rights, preserve their culture, preserve their land, protect their land. These rights are very important for them to protection. I think I have covered the issues, challenges of indigenous peoples, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my views with all of you. Thank you. Now you can ask any question if you have.
Thank you so much, sir, for this insightful lecture. I'm sure this lecture will be very much helpful for our listeners. So now I request our chair, Professor Leila Karunyakara sir, to give comment on today's lecture.
Thank you much, Shashi Kumar. It's a wonderful lecture of the indigenous and Shashi Kumar very indigenous Yeah,
What is happening?
thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. As we follow Dalit culture and in Dalit culture, there is a space for raising questions. So now this forum is open for questions. So those who wants to ask questions can ask. It's a request for listeners, please ask questions. Who wants to ask, raise the hand.
Okay, ask Kiran.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Congratulations, sir. Your lecture is very wonderful and fantastic. I am listening second time your lecture, sir.
Thank you, thank
So,
you.
yeah, sir. My question is the issue of water, forest, and land of the tribal community were there during the British period. But even today, the tribal community is fighting for the same issue water, forest, and land. What do you have to say on this? And
Yes,
second question is now is PVTGS 75 tribes in India. They are not modern, you are saying. But I don't understand why it's not including in scheduled tribe. What is your view?
yes. Uh, Kiran Kobre, very good for asking this question. I'm thankful. See, the tribals were not having any problem of the water, or you can say land, before the independence or before the Britishers came, because they are living in the forest area and there is no clash of any type of interest. You see, the tribal, they are having their own forest is abundance, and the issue only came when the outsiders, or the you can say the Britishers, they entered in the forest area. First of all, the moneylanders, because tribals are living in the very, very rich areas, minerals, forest products are there. So many of the Indian moneylanders, or you can say some of the trading people, they went there, they purchased the forest products from the these tribal people in a very meager amounts, and they first exploited them. In Jharkhand, in the Chhattisgarh, many companies, many people there they set up their factories. Aluminium factory or some factories are there for making the balti utensils, everything there. So first of all, they exploited them, and when they went in their area, in the land encroachment, something there. So Britishers, when the Britishers entered their forest area, then they revolted. Kharwar revolt, or Oraon revolt, Santhal, then you can say the Birsa Munda, Bhagwan Birsa Munda, they fought for their lands. All these fought were there against the Britishers. In the contemporary period, in the modern area, now the same problem is existing, because the government of India, they are giving the land leased of the tribal land to the companies for the for the construction of the dam or for the something like that. So development projects are there. So again, the tribal people have to face the problem of water, land still, because the fight of tribal peoples was not substantially taken care in the parliament. Still in the parliament, the tribal peoples not having the much voice. We have our president of India, she is tribal. There are many things, many people they become the MPs, the tribal, but they are not organized. They are the real problems of tribals are being not listened in the parliament, not voiced in the parliament. So acts are there, but it's not implemented properly. PESA is there, Forest Act is there, but these acts are not implemented properly because the implementators, those who want to implement, they are not implementing properly. Tribal people are not there to implement the problems. So I think unfortunately still the tribal people are not having the decision making power. Though superficially they are elected, but they are not been fighting. Again, the problem is that they are not organized, they are not politically mobilized, or they are been isolated. So I think, Kiran, I am able to answer your question.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
Um,
Sir, one more question, sir. Can I ask? Yeah. Sir, are Adivasi becoming Shudra under the influence of Brahman culture? What is your opinion, sir?
One thing I want to mention, I forget it. See, the social setup of the tribals are different. See, the tribals are basically they have their own kinship relationship. They are living in the own hamlet, own tribe. They don't have any type of social structure which is you can say which is based on the discriminatory factors. There is no problem of untouchability there in the tribal area. There is no caste system in tribes. Each tribes are having their own system. They are all equal. Many of the tribals they have the woman is having the decision making power. They decides, but they are living outside the system of the Hindu society from traditionally. But over the years, with the influence of the Hindus, you can say culture, or many the Hindu groups are also entering in the tribal areas to converting them in the Hindus or in the influence. They are making them converting them as a Hindus also, because traditionally tribals are having their own culture, own they have their own goddess. They So they are worshipping trees, animals, this type of goddess they are having. But slowly, gradually, with the influence of the modernization, these tribals are also adopting the Hindus set of values, practices of religious practices. They are worshipping the goddess, their Hindu goddess they are worshipping. So there is some sort of transition, you can say. If cultural influence is going on, but I think they are not facing such any type of the social discrimination. Discrimination in their own system, but now with this when they come up, they enter in the Hindu order of the society, which is there in the cities, urban areas. They are being also discriminated. They are also facing some type of economic discriminations. SC and STs are, if you see in the modern term, they are being discriminated. they are not giving the good education. They're discriminated. So I think with the you can say caste influence or Hindu system influencing them much now. That's why I think they face some type of the problem of the discrimination. But they are not as much as the scheduled caste they're feeling or Dalits are feeling. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran ma'am. Anybody else who wants to ask question?
Keshnath is want to say. I think he is
Tekla
visible.
sir. Tekla sir. You have any question?
यस मैम. हाँ हेलो, एक
Yes,
मिनट,
you can ask.
एक मिनट, वहाँ शोर हो रहा है. हाँ, मैडम ये, हाँ सर, मैं केशनाथ प्रसाद दलित ट्राइबल स्टडीज का स्टूडेंट हूँ. कर्मधार के अंदर मैं पीएचडी कर रहा हूँ. सर मुझे ये पूछना है कि मैं लुंगलेई गया था मिजोरम, और मैं मेघालय गया तो वहाँ मैंने सबसे मतलब अपनी इंडिया की सबसे साफ नदी देखी. शिक्षित जिला देखा मिजोरम का, जो सबसे शिक्षित जिला महिलाओं के लिए. सबसे ग्रीन जो गांव होता है वो नागालैंड का खुनमुमा है. और तो इस तरह मैंने देखा कि क्या उनके वहाँ पे जो ट्राइबल है वो तो बहुत आगे हैं, और वहाँ पे लोगों ने मुझे बताया कि 85% टोटल उनकी नौकरियों में आरक्षण भी है. जो कि मैं जो आपने बताया, जो अपने शेष इंडिया के जो ट्राइबल लोग हैं, जैसे मान लिए जो मैदानों में रहते हैं, चाहे मध्य प्रदेश में चाहे हैदराबाद में. जैसे हैदराबाद में बंजारा हिल नाम है, मगर वहाँ कोई ट्राइबल नहीं मिलता. सारे अपर कास्ट के लोग, बड़े लोग बसे हुए हैं, और ट्राइबल लोग सड़क पे खड़े होकर सामान बेचते रहते हैं. तो क्या ट्राइबल के डेवलपमेंट में क्या रिलीजन कल्चर भी क्या मतलब अपना प्रभाव डालता है? मुझे ये पूछना है आपसे. थैंक यू सर.
हाँ केशनाथ जी, मैं कहता हूँ कि जो ट्राइबल्स जो हैं नॉर्थ ईस्ट में है, मिजोरम में, नागालैंड में, वो पूरा ट्राइबल बेल्ट है. वो पूरा दिस स्टेट्स आर बेसिकली डोमिनेटेड बाय द ट्राइबल्स एंड दे आर रिच. देखिए उनके पास ऑटोनॉमी है, और वो आप वहाँ का देखो, दे आर गेटिंग एजुकेशन इन द इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज ऑल्सो. वहाँ पे स्कूल में मैं जो देखा है कि वहाँ पे जो लैंग्वेज उनकी अपनी इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज है, दे आर मॉडर्न इन सेंस की, और दे आर वेरी मच अवेयर अबाउट देयर प्रॉब्लम. वहाँ कोई इंटरफेरेंस भी नहीं रहा. वहाँ पर उस नॉर्थ ईस्ट में भारत के कई लोग वहाँ जा नहीं पाए. इवन ब्रिटिशर्स के भी लिमिटेड वहाँ पर इंटरफेरेंस था. बट तो इसलिए वो लोग का जो कल्चर है, उन लोग की जो ऑटोनॉमी है, वो गवर्नमेंट ने भी इसको जो है प्रोटेक्ट किया. ठीक है ना, उन लोगों ने उसको प्रोटेक्ट किया गवर्नमेंट ने. इसीलिए वहाँ पर ऐसी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. ट्राइबल्स का इतना वहाँ पर रिवोल्ट नहीं हुआ जब तक कि वहाँ पर गवर्नमेंट ने इंटरफेयर नहीं किया. गवर्नमेंट ने उसको प्रोटेक्ट किया वहाँ पर. बट द ट्राइबल्स ऑफ द सेंट्रल एशिया, सेंट्रल इंडिया, लाइक झारखंड आपका हो गया, छत्तीसगढ़ हो गया, आंध्र प्रदेश हो गया, इस एरिया में गवर्नमेंट का पूरा इंटरफेरेंस रहा. गवर्नमेंट के साथ साथ में द आउटसाइड द प्राइवेट सेक्टर्स, जो मनी लैंडर्स हो गए, हाँ, जो बाकी जो ट्रेडिंग क्लास के लोग हो गए, वो लोग वहाँ इंटरफेयर किया. उन लोगों ने चाहा कि भाई इस जो ट्राइबल एरियाज है, जहाँ पर फॉरेस्ट एरिया है, वहाँ को इंक्रोच किया जाए, वहाँ पर कंपनी लगाई जाए, उनको प्रोडक्ट्स को. इसीलिए दे आर बी मोर एक्सप्लॉइटेड बाय देम. अत्याचार या इंटरफेरेंस जो भी रहा वो ज़्यादा इस एरिया में रहा, वहाँ पर नहीं रहा. तो कहीं ना कहीं कल्चर का भी इन्फ्लुएंस है. आप देखो जितना कल्चर मिशनरीज वगैरह या हिंदू जो इन्फ्लुएंस रहा खबर करने का, वो सारा का सारा इसी एरिया में आया. आपके सेंट्रल इंडिया के जगह पे ज़्यादा है. नॉर्थ ईस्ट में ऐसा नहीं है. नॉर्थ ईस्ट जो स्टेट्स हैं वहाँ पे एक ही कल्चर है, या उनका डिफरेंट कल्चर्स हैं. एंड हमें नहीं लगता कि वहाँ ज़्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस है उन लोगों का. बट इन इस एरिया में कल्चर, रिलीजन का ज़्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस रहा, इंटरफेरेंस रहा, इकोनॉमिक का ज़्यादा इंटरफेरेंस रहा. बाहर के लोग ज़्यादा यहाँ पर आए. इसीलिए यहाँ पर जो है जो कंडीशन ऑफ द ट्राइबल्स ऑफ द सेंट्रल एशिया ज़्यादा पुअर है इन कंपेयर टू द नॉर्थ ईस्ट. नॉर्थ ईस्ट के जो ट्राइबल्स है दे आर मोर अवेयर, मोर एजुकेटेड, मोर एडवांस हैं, यहाँ पे नहीं है। इसीलिए यहाँ ज्यादा पुअर है। इफ यू सी द पॉवर्टी लेवल बहुत ज्यादा यहाँ पर है। ठीक है,
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू, बहुत अच्छा लगा, बहुत अच्छा, थैंक यू सर।
Thank you, Krishna sir. Anybody else?
राकेश सिंह पकलियाल। राकेश
जी सर।
हाँ, हाउ आर यू?
जी सर, नमस्ते नमस्ते सर, ठीक हूँ सर।
मीटिंग द ओल्ड फ्रेंड्स ना, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम हैप्पी।
सर
कैसे हो?
बस ठीक हूँ, अच्छा हूँ सर। मुझे लगा सर और कोई पूछ रहा होगा तो मैंने कहा मैं आखिर लास्ट में पूछता हूँ सर। सर आपके आपके व्याख्यान तो हम सुनते रहते हैं सर, और हमेशा की तरह सर आपका जो स्पीच होता है काफी ज्ञानवर्धक रहता है। तो सर मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि सर जैसे अभी आप जो अपने वक्तव्य में ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन के बारे में बता रहे थे आदिवासियों को, तो सर क्योंकि सर मैं भी वो ट्राइब से बिलोंग करता हूँ, तो सर मैं कुछ मेरे मन में एक प्रश्न आ रहा था कि सर जैसे आदिवासी समुदाय में सर जैसे क्या होता है सर, जब मैं छोटा था उसमें देखा है मैंने कि कुछ लोग सर जैसे पेट में दर्द हो जाता था, सर में दर्द हो जाता था, तो वो लोग सर कुछ जड़ी बूटी या कुछ एक लिक्विड होता था वो पीते थे तो उससे ठीक हो जाता था, और हमने ये कई बार देखा। लेकिन जब अब हम बड़े हो गए हैं और जब ये जो ये दवाई मेडिकल फैसिलिटी या साइंस का बढ़ गया है, तो उसमें सर मैंने जब गांव में ये सुना है कि सर जो कुछ लोग जैसे किसी बुजुर्ग की अचानक मृत्यु हो जाती है, मर जाते हैं, तो ये पाया जाता है कि उनको उनका शुगर लेवल शायद बढ़ गया था या उनका बीपी बढ़ गया था, उस कारण से उनको हार्ट अटैक हो गया। तो सर क्या जो ये ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन है हमारे, तो क्या सर ये क्या ये जो मेरा सोचना है कि उस समय को और अभी का जो मैं कंपैरिजन करता हूँ, तो क्या सर ये जो ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन के साथ साथ हमें क्योंकि सर वहाँ पर मेडिकल फैसिलिटी नहीं होती है, अभी भी नहीं है गाँव में, तो आदिवासी क्षेत्रों में, तो क्या सर हमें वो ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन लेने के बाद क्या सर हमें जो आधुनिक जो चिकित्सा है उसको तो दिखाने चाहिए ना सर। फिर भी आज भी सर कुछ लोग जो गांव से नहीं आ पाते इंटीरियर, वो अभी भी वही जब मेडिसिन खाते हैं तो सर वो शायद फिर जब हम सुनते हैं कि शायद वो बीपी जो भी प्रॉब्लम थी उसके कारण, तो जो कुछ लोगों का कहना है कि जो उस समय जो दवाई खाया हो सकता है उनको उससे राहत मिल गया होगा। तो सर इसमें आपसे जानना चाह रहा था कि क्या संभवता हो सकता है, इसमें क्या करना चाहिए आदिवासियों को सर।
नहीं, बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन। हाँ राकेश, आप तो वहाँ अपने हिल एरिया में रहे भी हो, आपने देखा भी होगा कि जो ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स हैं, हर्ब्स वगैरह जो है वो काफी वो लोग यूज करते थे फॉर द ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ द डिसीजेस के लिए, डिस्क्रिप्ट करने के लिए, चाहे बुखार हो गया चाहे और चीज बीमारियां हो गई, उसके लिए वो वहाँ के लोकल ट्रेडिशनल, जिसको जो है आज भी आयुर्वेदा आयुर्वेदा उसको अप्रोवेट कर रहा है। आयुर्वेदा क्या है, मतलब वो कहता है कि मैं हिंदू मेडिसिन हैं, बट दीज आर द बेसिकली दे आर द इंडिजिनियस सिस्टम ऑफ मेडिसिन, है ना। आयुर्वेदा जो बेसिकली वो जो है वो ट्राइबल एरियाज के जो थे मेडिसिन वैल्यूज प्रैक्टिसेस उसको वो लोग यूज करते थे। उसी को आज के जमाने में आयुर्वेदा और हिमालय वगैरह जो कंपनियां हैं, बड़ी बड़ी कंपनी, उसको उस मेडिसिन को इंग्लिश फॉर्म में उसको बेच रही है, उसको यूज कर रही है। तो मुझे लगता है बहुत से ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन बहुत यूजफुल रहे हैं। जो बीपी, शुगर और तरह की जो बीमारियां हैं, टाइफाइड वगैरह, ये थायराइड वगैरह और ऐसी बीमारियां, ये सब बीमारियां इन कंपेयर टू द पीपल लिविंग इन द सिटी, ये सब बीमारी सिटी की हैं। गांव में या ट्राइबल एरियाज में ये सब बीमारियां नहीं है, लाइफस्टाइल बीमारियां हैं। लाइफस्टाइल बीमारियां जो हैं ज्यादातर शहरों में है, गांव में नहीं है, बिकॉज उनका लाइफ अलग है। सो लाइफ अगर अलग हो तो नेचुरली मेडिसिन भी अलग होंगी।
यस सर।
तो ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन जो थी वहाँ के अकॉर्डिंगली बनाया गया था, वहाँ के उस एरिया के लोगों के रहन सहन खान पान के हिसाब से था, इसलिए वो काफी इफेक्टिव था उस समय। अब जो मॉडर्न एलोपैथिक मेडिसिन वगैरह है, दिस इज वेरी, ये काफी आउटसाइड है फ्रॉम सिस्टम ऑफ द दैट ए पीपल। ठीक है, ये सारी मेडिसिन वगैरह जितने भी एलोपैथिक मेडिसिन हैं, ये सब वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज के हिसाब से बनाया गया, और वो मेडिसिन को हमारे कंट्री में एक इसको यूज किया जा रहा है। बहुत सारी मेडिसिन जो हैं अमेरिका वगैरह में बैन कर रखी हैं, पर इंडिया में उसको गवर्नमेंट यूज कर रहे हैं, उसको मिसयूज कर जो भी कर रहे हैं, डेट टेस्टिंग कर रहे हैं। तो अगर आज भी हमारे फार्मास्यूटिकल कंपनी वगैरह या गवर्नमेंट चाहे तो ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन को उसके मुताबिक मेडिसिन बनाकर उसको यूज कर इंडियन जो यहाँ पर लगा सकती है, यूज कर सकती है, और गवर्नमेंट कर भी रही है। जैसे आयुष मंत्रालय है, यूनानी वगैरह है, ये सब जो है ना, उनका जो पर्पस वही है कि ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन को यूज कर जो ट्रीटमेंट दे सकते हैं इंडिया में। बहुत से थेरेपी वगैरह है, पंचकर्मा वगैरह या और भी थेरेपीज वगैरह जो हैं, जो कि बेस्ड ऑन द ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन पर हैं, उसको गवर्नमेंट प्रमोट कर रही है। पीपल आर आल्सो यूजिंग इट एंड दे आर टेकिंग द बेनिफिट आल्सो। सो आप मेन वही है कि हम लोग कैसे इसको यूज करें। आजकल कोई भी डॉक्टर वहां जाता नहीं है इन द ट्राइबल एरियाज में, नोबडी वांट टू गो देयर इन द ट्राइबल। इवन ट्राइबल्स के पीपल जो डॉक्टर बन जाते हैं, डॉक्टर बनते हैं, बट दे आर नॉट वर्किंग इन द ट्राइबल एरिया।
यस सर, राइट सर।
हाँ, आप देखो कोई ट्राइबल प्रोफेसर वहां जाके पढ़ाता नहीं है स्कूल और कॉलेजेस वगैरह में ट्राइबल एरियाज में। उसको लगता है कि मैंने यहाँ जॉब ले लिया है तो मैं अब शहर में रहूँ, दिल्ली बॉम्बे यहाँ रहूँ, मेरे बच्चे और आगे बढ़े, बट दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू बैक टू द ट्राइबल एरियाज फ्रॉम वेयर दे हैव कम अप, है ना। तो ये भी एक डिफरेंसेस हैं कि वी हैव नॉट गोइंग बैक टू द विलेजेस और ट्राइबल एरियाज टू वर्क देयर। मैं गया था, क्या बोलते हैं, पुरुलिया एक जगह है, पुरुलिया नहीं, बांकुरा जगह है इन द वेस्ट बंगाल। बांकुरा है ना जगह एक, वहां पर एक डॉक्टर फैमिली, हस्बैंड वाइफ दोनों जो हैं, आफ्टर रिटायरमेंट फ्रॉम द देयर डॉक्टर देयर प्रैक्टिसेस फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल, they set up the hospital in the Bankura, और पूरा का पूरा एरिया जो था वो ट्राइबल एरिया था। पुअर पीपल, दे कांट अफोर्ड द मेडिसिन कॉस्ट वगैरह, वो फ्री में उनको दवाइयाँ वगैरह उनको जो है। तो वो मैंने देखा कि वहाँ के जो डॉक्टर थे, बेसिकली ही वाज MBBS, बट ही वाज नॉट, ही वाज यूजिंग MBBS also medicines, allopathic medicines also, and the ये आयुष मेडिसिन, आयुर्वेदिक मेडिसिन ऑल्सो फॉर द ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ द डिजीजेस। तो हमें एक ऐसा थेरेपी लेना चाहिए जिसमें उनके ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज को भी आप यूज करो एंड मॉडर्न इसको भी यूज करो। बोथ वी हैव टू यूज।
यस सर, थैंक यू सर।
Thank you, Dr. Akash, sir. Anybody else want to ask the question? सर, अभी जो राकेश सर ने क्वेश्चन पूछा है, मैंने भी ये ऑब्जर्व किया है। लास्ट ईयर उत्तराखंड गए थे सर, नैनीताल में, तो वहां पे भी ना एक शॉप था, मतलब कपड़े का शॉप था। तो हम वहाँ पे गए थे, तो वहाँ पे वो एक छोटी सी बॉटल थी सर बेचने के लिए, वो ऑयल बोलते थे उसको, कि आप उसको अगर सिर्फ स्मेल करते हैं, उसका स्मेल लेते हैं, तो आपकी जो ब्रेन की जो भैंस है वो पूरी खुल जाएगी, ऐसा उनका कहना था। तो हमने स्मेल लेके देखा तो सच में वो इफेक्टिव था, कि सिर्फ सूंघने से पूरा सेंसेशन आ रहा था। तो हमने भी पूछा कि ये कहाँ से लाते हैं आप लोग, तो उन्होंने बताया कि यहाँ पे जो भी मेडिसिनल औषधियाँ है, तो वहाँ पे यहाँ पे जो आदिवासी लोग हैं वो वहाँ पे अंदर जाके वो मेडिसिन लाते हैं, उससे वो ऑयल निकालते हैं और फिर हम उनसे वो ऑयल सिर्फ 100 या 200 में लेते हैं और फिर उधर वो लोग अच्छा उसको पैकिंग करके 1000-2000 में वो ऑयल बेच रहे थे सर। तो मतलब आदिवासियों का इस तरह से भी शोषण हो रहा है। तो ये कहीं ना कहीं एक बहुत चिंताजनक बात है। और कोई है जो क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहता है? Nobody? Sir, Karunyakara sir. Okay. Now I request my colleague Shashikant Bharti to give vote of thanks.
Thank you. Being a part of Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge, we extend our sincere gratitude to all the participants and attendees of the 9th online lecture of the Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge, also known as KIDK lecture series. Special thanks to Professor Dr. L. Karunyakara sir for chairing the session and Professor Shashi Kumar sir for an enlightening lecture on rights of indigenous people in India, issues and challenges, celebrated on World Indigenous Peoples Day. We appreciate the efforts of coordinator Dr. Sukeshni, Dr. Darshana Mishram, Dr. Smita Bhagat, Akash Khobragade, Shreyat Baud, and Vijay Kumre. This lecture series is launched on Ambedkar Jayanti 2025, reflects our dedication to Dalit knowledge studies. Thank you for your valuable contributions. Jai Bhim.
Thank you.